Our allies' town is under siege.
The sleeper has awakened. Our time is short.
Our allies' hero has fallen. Our forces are under attack.
At once. Of course. At once. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. At once. Of course. Anodora. Of course. At once. Anodora. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. At once. Of course. My path is clear. I'll make a short work. Victory is at hand. Of course. At once. Of course. At once. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. Anodora. At once. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. Of course. At once. course. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. Anodora. I'll make short work of it.
Our forces are under attack.
Of course. Anodora. My path is clear.
Allied
course.
hero has fallen.
My path is clear.
Forces are under attack.
Once.
Allied hero has fallen.
Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. Victory is at hand. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. My path is clear. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. At once. My path is clear. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Of course. My path is clear.
Our hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. Of course. At once. Where shall I strike? Anodora. At once. Of course.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Anodora. My path is clear. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora.
Our hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. Bear arms. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. I'll make short work of them. At once.
Our allied town is under siege. Our hero has fallen.
Sleeper has awakened. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Of course.
Lord Brazil's there. Our allies under siege. Our allies' hero has fallen.
Anodora. Once. My path is clear. Victory is at hand. Of course. Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. Where shall I strike? Anodora. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear.
Our hero has fallen. Our allies' town is under siege.
Sleeper has awakened. Of course. Path is clear. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. Of course. At once. Of course. My path is clear. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. I'll make short work. At once. My path.
Our hero has fallen.
Sleeper has awakened. I'm awake. I'm awake. Anodora. At once. Of course. At once. Of course.
Where shall my blood be spilled?
My path is clear. Of course. At once. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. Anodora.
Our forces are under attack.
At once. Of course. At once. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. At once. My path is clear. At once. Of course. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. At once. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. At once.
Our allies' town is under
My
siege.
path is clear. Of course. My path is clear.
Our hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. Anodora. My strength is yours.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Of course. At once. Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. At once. Of course. Anodora. Of course. Bear on. Once. Anodora. Once. In Nordrasil's name.
Our allies' hero has fallen.
My path is clear. Once. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. At once. Anodora. Of course. At once. Of course.
Our hero has fallen. Our allies' hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. I'm awake. I'm awake. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. At once. Of course. At once.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Of course. At once. My path is clear.
Allies' hero has fallen.
Anodora. The sleeper has awakened. Our time is short. At once. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. Of course. At once. Of course. Anodora. At once. Of course. Anodora. Of course. At once. I'll make short work. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora.
Our hero has fallen.
I'm awake. I'm awake. My path is clear. Our strength is yours.
Our allies' hero has fallen.
Of course.
Our allies' town is under
At once.
siege.
Of course. Anodora. Of course. At once. Of course. Anodora. At once. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. At once. My path.
Our allies' town is under siege.
At once. Of course. Anodora. Victory is at hand. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. At once.
Our hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. I'm awake. I'm awake. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. At once. Of course.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. At once. Of course. At once. Anodora. At once. Of course. At once. My path.
Our hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. Our time is short. Anodora, my strength is yours. Where shall I strike? At once.
Allies' hero has fallen. Our allies' town is under siege.
Anodora. Of course. I'll make short work of them. At once. My path is clear.
Our allies' town is
Anodora.
under siege.
Of course. At once. My path is clear.
Our allies' town is under siege.
At once. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. At once. Anodora.
Our allies' town is under siege.
My path is clear. Once. My path is clear. Anodora.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Of course. Anodora. Anodora. Our time is short. My path is clear. My path is clear. Of course.
Under siege! Our
My
allied
path.
hero has fallen!
Of course. At once. My path is clear.
Our hero has fallen!
The sleeper has awakened. Of course. Anudura. At once. Anudura. At once. Of course.
Under siege!
My path is clear. Anudura. At once. My path is clear. Anudura. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. Anudura. At once. Anudura. At once.
Our allies' town is under siege!
Anudura. Of course. At once. Anudura. At once. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Of course. Of course.
Our hero has fallen!
The sleeper has awakened. At once.
Our allies' hero has fallen! Our allies' town is under siege! Hero has fallen!
At once. My path is clear. Anudura. Anudura. My path is clear. Anudura. At once. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear.
Our allies' town is under siege.
My path is clear. At once. Bear arms.
Our allies' hero has fallen.
Of course. At once. Anodora.
Our allies'
course.
town is under siege.
Anodora. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. Of course. My path is clear. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. My path
Thy bidding,
is clear.
Master.
At once.
Our allies' hero has fallen.
My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. My strength is yours. At once. Anodora. At once. Of course. I'll make sure.
Our hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora.
Our allies' town is under siege.
At once. Of course. Anodora. At once. Of course. Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. Once. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear.
Allied hero has fallen. Our hero has fallen. Our allied town is under siege. Our tyrant fallen.
Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Anodora. I'm awake. I'm awake. My path is clear. At once. Anodora. Of course.
Our allied town is
course.
under siege.
My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Victory. Anodora. My path is
Our hero has fallen. Our allied hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. Where shall I strike? Anodora. I'm awake. I'm awake. My path is clear. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. At once.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Of course. My path is clear. At course. My path
Our
is
forces are under attack.
Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. Bear arms. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. In Lord Brasil's name. Once.
Our allies' town is
Anodora.
under siege.
Of course. At once. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear.
Our allies' town is
Once.
under siege.
Anodora. At once.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Anodora. Of course. Of course. Anodora. At once.
Our hero has fallen. Our allies' town is under siege.
The sleeper has awakened. Where shall I strike? Of course. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Victory is at hand. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. Of course. At once. Anodora. At once. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora.
Our hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. My path is clear.
Our allied hero has fallen.
At once. Of course. At once. Anodora. At once. Of course. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. Anudora. Of course. Anudora. At once. Our time is short. Anudora. My path is clear. Of course. At once. My path is clear. Anudora. Of course. Anudora. Of course.
Our allies' town is under siege.
My path is clear. Of course. At once. Anudora. Of course. Anudora.
Our hero has fallen.
Awaken.
Hero has fallen.
Of course. Anudora. At once. Of course. My path is clear. At once. My path is clear. At once. Anudora. My path is clear. At once. Anudora. At once. Bear up! Anudora. Of course. At once. My path is clear. Of course. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. My path. Of course.
Our allies' hero has fallen. Our allies' town is under siege.
I'm awake. I'm awake. Anodora. My strength is gone.
Our allies' hero has fallen.
Anodora. Of course. Anodora. At once. Anodora. At once.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora.
Our allies' town is under siege.
I'll make short work.
Our hero has fallen.
Sleeper has awakened. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. My path is clear.
Under siege.
Once.
Our hero has fallen.
Has awakened. Where shall I strike? Once.
Our allies' hero has fallen.
At once. Of course. My path is clear. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. My path is clear.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Anodora.
Our
My
allies' hero has
path is
fallen.
clear. Of course.
Our allies' town is under siege.
I'm awake. I'm awake. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. Of course. Anodora.
Our hero has fallen. Under
My
siege.
path is of course. Anodora. Of course. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. Anodora. At once. In Nordrassil's name. Of course. Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. Once. Anodora. At once.
Our forces are under attack.
Of course. At once. Anodora. Of course.
Our hero has fallen.
The sleeper has awakened. Our time is short. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Of course. Anodora. At once. Of course. My path is Anodora.
Our hero has fallen.
awakened. Of course. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. Once. Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. At once. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. Of course. My path. At once. Anodora. At once. Anodora. At once. My path. Of course. In North Brazil,
Our hero has fallen. Our allies' hero has fallen.
the sleeper has awakened.
Our allies'
Where
hero
shall I
has fallen.
strike? My path is clear. Anodora.
Our allies' town is under
Once.
siege.
Anodora.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Once. Anodora. Once. Anodora. Of course.
Our hero has fallen. Allies' hero has fallen. Our allies' town is under siege. Allied town is under siege.
The sleeper has awakened. I'm awake. I'm awake.
Our allied town is under siege.
At once. My path is clear. Anodora. At once. Of course. Our time is short.
Our allies'
Anodora.
town is under siege.
Of course. Anodora. At once. Of course. My path is clear. Anodora. My path is clear. Anodora. At once. Anodora. Of course. At once. My path is clear. Where shall I strike? Of course. Anodora. At once. Of course. At once. Anodora. At once. Anodora. My path is of course.
Our allies' town is under siege.
At once. Anodora. In Nordrasil's name. Bear arms. Victory is at hand.